Hello and welcome to English 2. I'm your online teacher, Miss Bear. We are starting a brand new unit today, and this is an expository writing unit. Today we will be looking at an introduction to the unit as well as the vocabulary or some of the vocabulary that you will be using throughout this unit. So let's dig right in. On your board, you will see our agenda. I'm going to introduce you to Common Lit. If you've been with me throughout the year, you know I have already introduced you to Common Lit, but if you're new to us, I hope that you will take a minute to kind of follow along so you will see what exactly Common Lit offers to you as a teacher or a student. Then I will introduce you to our unit, which is a Common Lit 360 unit. Grade 10, their unit 4. This is on the fashion industry from the past to the present. And again, it is an expository research unit. And lastly, we will be looking at the activity set 1 for the vocabulary, especially activity 1, and then kind of give you some ideas of where we're moving from there. So I look forward to the rest of the day with you and seeing how we progress through this Common Lit unit on the fashion industry. So on the board behind me or on your screen, you will see if you go to commonlit.org and you create an account or you already have an account, you can go to the 360 curriculum. This particular curriculum that I'm going with is the 10th grade curriculum, and you will see Unit 4, the fashion industry past to present, and you will see all of the resources for that unit listed once you choose it. It's very important that you either create an account if you're a teacher or that you have an account, because that's how you're going to get the resources for this particular unit. Common Lit is a proprietary, high-quality instructional material that I cannot just give the resources to. You have to go to Common Lit's website in order to get the resources for this unit and any of the units with Common Lit. They have the copyright to the different texts that we will be using, as well as some of the PowerPoints that are on my board. All of those are proprietary to Common Lit. Well, let's dig right in and talk about what exactly we're talking about when we talk about the fashion industry past to present. And on the screen, this is the Common Lit 360. This is their title slide for this unit, and you can see some of the machinery that it takes in order to create some of the fashion that we wear today. All right, at the end of this unit, and it is fairly long, we are going to be answering the question, or answering a couple of questions to this entire prompt. Francis Cabot Lowell had a utopian vision for a factory that would make profits for the owners while also improving the lives of the workers. What was his vision? And then to what extent has his vision been realized since its inception? And we're going to be gathering evidence to answer this research question. You're going to learn who Francis Cabot Lowell was and dig into some of his factories and what happened in the past and what methods are still being used today that he created back 100 years ago. So let's look at before factories. Everything that was needed to make clothes at home was made by individuals. They made their own fabric. They sewed that fabric to make what it is that they needed. And then the Industrial Revolution happened, and that innovation led to machines that were able to produce cloth in mass quantities. The work transitioned from the home to a factory. And then today, the textile industry processes fiber into yarn, and then that yarn into fabric. These fabrics can be dyed or printed, turned into clothes, shoes, and other apparel. And I'm sure that's what you are wearing today. Nothing that most of us wear today is made completely by hand. In some countries, in some villages, they still pull cotton or wool into the yarn and make that fabric that way. It's very rare, but it does still happen. I don't know that it happens anywhere in America. So if you're in America, obviously Mississippi is in America, and that's where we are, and you probably don't know anybody who spins their own wool or makes their own fabric. So all of these fabrics are produced by machines from the Industrial Revolution. So what are we going to learn throughout this unit? We're going to explore some of the earliest textile factories in America, the Lowell System Mills, which were completely staffed by women. And then I want you, before we kind of dig in, I want you to share, what do you know about where your clothes come from? Share those ideas out in your class now. Some of you are very well versed in where your clothes come from. Some of you are totally oblivious, and that's okay either way. At the end of this unit, you're going to learn all kinds of different places, and I think you'll be more aware of where your clothes are made from now on. So throughout this unit, we will read about labor conditions both now and in the past. And you can see, I'm not sure where this photograph came from other than Common Lit, but you see a little boy working with fabric next to a woman standing, I guess that's probably a pencil drawing with the woman. It's not a photograph, but there are photographs of women from the earliest factories creating this fabric. But you see, there are still little children that are still working in these factories, and so this unit is to bring awareness to that. So we will also learn about the research process. So developing a research question, finding reliable sources, reading and taking notes, synthesizing and outlining, drafting and revising. We will also study the situation in the Lowell System Mills from the point of view of the people who were actually there. We'll talk a little bit about primary sources and what those are and how we use those to complete research. You will also find reliable sources to learn about the working conditions in current day textile factories. As we read, I want you to annotate some nonfiction text and collect evidence that answers that research question. And that research question was, Francis Cabot Lowell had a utopian vision for a factory that would make profits for the owners while also improving the lives of the workers. What was his vision, and to what extent has his vision been realized since its inception? And so I am really excited about where we're going. And so let's dig into our first set of vocabulary for this unit. And I will tell you that Common Lit has a packet, and at this time I would like for the teacher in the classroom to give you, each one of you, a copy of this packet so that we can work through this together. And we're going to work through activity 1 together. All right, you need to make sure that you have a pencil and you have that packet ready to go on your desk, and let's dig in. And why do we even do this activity? When we're reading words, sometimes we encounter words that we don't know. And without a dictionary, how can we figure out what that word means? So one way is to use context clues. We try to guess the meaning of the new word based on the details that surround it. And we're going to practice this skill in activity 1 of your packet. All right. First, I'm going to show you how I use context clues to predict the meaning of a word. I begin by looking at the photo and I ask myself, what do I see? On the screen in front of me, I see a computer with coding language. Now, if you look closely, you will see that those aren't real words on that screen. So I'm assuming that that's coding language, okay? And so the sentence says, attending the STEM camp aroused Stephanie's interest in coding. Well, that kind of helped me understand that the photograph and the word must be coding. All right, so I looked at the caption and I asked myself, what word could I place in place of the underlined vocabulary word? And here I might substitute the word awakened or excited for the word aroused. Okay? So now I want to look back at the example sentence. The nature show aroused the children's curiosity about the planet and how people can save it. So I asked myself, do my substitutions from the caption, awakened and excited, make sense in this sentence? Yes, I think awakened fits best the meaning of the sentence. So I'm going to base my definition prediction on that. After you've had a chance to make predictions for all of the words, I will show you the dictionary definitions, and you will fill those in that last place on your worksheet in front of you. So you'll put the actual correct definition after you've had a chance to grapple with this. So let's look at the word detain together. We'll begin by looking at the photo. I need a volunteer to describe what they see in the photo. Good job. Now I need a volunteer to suggest a word or word that could be placed in place of the underlined vocabulary word based on the caption. Oh, that was excellent. Now let's look at the example sentence. Silently try to fit our substitutions from the caption into this sentence to see if they work. Now I need a volunteer to share. Tell us what word or phrase you think we should write as our definition prediction. All right, we will look at we'll look at detain as well as the rest of these vocabulary words after you've had a chance to work on this entire activity 1 in your packet. So I'm going to pause the video here so that you have time to finish, and then we will come back and we'll talk about the actual definitions. Good job. You guys are working very well together, and I appreciate that, and I know the teacher in the classroom appreciates that as well. And so as a little bonus, I'm going to let you talk about your predictions with a partner, just one other person, maybe a shoulder partner, but that's at the discretion of the teacher that's in your classroom. But I want you to talk quickly. I think about 5 minutes is all that you need to go through your predictions and compare and see which one of the two that you think works best. And then we'll come back together again and go through each of the words and their correct dictionary definitions. Good job. So let's review. All right. So as we go through, I want you to write the correct definition where it says correct definition on your handout. So let's look. The in-context predictions with their answers. The word arouse does mean to awaken or excite. The word detain means to hold someone back or prevent them from leaving. The word drudge means a person who does hard, boring work. And you see there are some related words on the screen as well. Next, we have the word imperative. It means extremely important or urgent. Now, the next word, I say it one way, and other people say it another way. I'm so sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. And so I'm curious how you say that word. So I say laborious, and some people say laborious. And so either way that you say it, it's fine. Laborious is actually the correct way that you pronounce it, but I've always said laborious. So the correct word for laborious or laborious is taking a lot of time and effort. It's related to the word labor. And the next word is monotony. It's boring sameness. I hope you got those correct definitions. Let's look at a few more. The word precaution. It's a measure taken to prevent something dangerous or unpleasant. And I know you all know what the word profit means. It's money gained by doing business after all costs have been paid. And then the next one is the word textile. Textile is any type of woven cloth. Lastly, we're going to look at the word toil. It means to work very hard and continuously. And all of the words that we've just gone over are going to help you with the texts as we read. And so you will see there are throughout this packet lots of different activities, and I will give you opportunities throughout this unit to work on these other activities. And just know, when I give you the vocabulary in this way, there will be a vocabulary quiz. So make sure that you're taking your time and that you're practicing these vocabulary terms. Also, within this unit, because it is a fairly long unit, about 4 or 5 weeks, you will have a second activity set and a second vocabulary quiz. But I believe that you guys can do this. I believe it's going to be really easy for you, especially because you're going to be practicing with this vocabulary throughout the unit within these texts. So that's all that I have for you today. Until next time, happy learning.